Hello and welcome to the brand new RealmJoin Unlocked podcast. In this new podcast series, we at glueckkanja want to share insights into the RealmJoin environment, give you a hint on best practices and discuss all the new features. My name is Moritz Pohl and today I'm here with my colleague Steffen Schwerdtfeger. Hi Steffen.
Hi Moritz.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, great.
Thank you for being here. So, for those who don't know you, Steffen, you are one of our RealmJoin champions at glueckkanja. What does that mean?
Yeah, so I'm basically working as consultant here, doing all kind of Intune stuff with all kind of devices, no matter if it's Windows, macOS, mobiles, etc. In that role we always have to do things with our product. In that case it is RealmJoin, and the champions are basically two persons for each product that help customers onboarding the product, using that, and we also give feedback to the product team, improving it. That's why we are always a good contact person when it comes to the products.
Yes, I think that makes RealmJoin stand out to some competitors, at least I would say that. I was also a RealmJoin champion a couple of years ago before I moved full-time to the products team. And I think what RealmJoin is really about is it's a tool that is developed because we needed it, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like we had a list of features we needed, but we found in all our projects that there is something missing in the Intune environment. I think we will get into that today. And then RealmJoin was born 10 years ago, roughly, I would say.
Before I started at glueckkanja, so it was already there, but I think the feature set changed during that time a lot.
Yes, I started 8.5, nearly 9 years ago, and I started with RealmJoin in the beginning. We had 1 or 2 big customers at that point using it for full cloud transformation. And as you said, RealmJoin developed and evolved quite a bit since then. We started basically as a patch management tool, very basic. Credentials also, I think, for all that don't know. Yeah, exactly. This is where the name RealmJoin comes from joining the two realms of AD and cloud. And now it's a lot more. Do you use RealmJoin in your daily work a lot with the customers?
Yeah, sure. So let me say, if we start with Intune, there are always gaps. I'm always having this picture in the mind with the bridge that has a gap between, and that was the same 10 years before with Intune. There were a lot of gaps where we needed to fill when doing patch management, for example, distributing packages to the clients. And with RealmJoin, we always try to fill the gaps. That's the reason why it's still there today, and feature set is growing. So as you said, it is not just patching anymore. It's meanwhile more we call it companion to Intune. Yeah.
I think one of our colleagues who's also RealmJoin champion and Microsoft MVP uses always this phrase of operator dashboard, which is basically describing what it is. We can use RealmJoin for all the daily operations. From my perspective, what RealmJoin or what makes RealmJoin stand out in terms of the team that's involved with RealmJoin, it's not like that we only have a product team, but different people, very capable from all of the departments working together in involving the product. We have the MVPs, we have the champions, we have of course our development team. And from my perspective, as I said, I was also a champion for quite some time. It makes your daily work better having a tool like RealmJoin that allows you to automate tasks and reduce your daily work, or at least get rid of all the things that honestly are not that fun, right?
Doing packaging, for example.
Yeah, the packaging automation is quite a big part, but I also think about Runbooks and other automations we'll get into. RealmJoin, we celebrated a couple of weeks, quite an interesting achievement. We have now over 1,000 tenants registered with RealmJoin. I think that also shows how much this tool is appreciated in the community. And we have all customers from all areas of the world, in all areas of work. And from my point of view, it's a lot of fun and very motivating to see all these different companies working, finding out where are issues and evolving the product.
Yeah. I think most features are customer feedback in the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
we see it in the projects, in our managed services in the meantime. So it's not just consulting. I'm doing a lot of managed services. And if we face something there, we try to implement it in RealmJoin. That makes it for us quite easy to fill the gaps for all customers, not just doing one script for one customer, and with RealmJoin we can directly use it for all customers. That's one of the benefits, I think.
And with that, you are actually touching on part of the idea of this podcast, which is because we are customer driven, we want to encourage the customers to give us feedback, but we also want to be able to tell all the other customers, here, this is the new feature. How would you use it? Why would you use it? What was changed in the last time? So today we are now going to talk about what happened in the last, let's say, 12 or 18 months, because there were a lot of changes on the RealmJoin side.
Yeah.
And I think it's nice to get everyone up to speed. So we called it internally vNext, so the next version of RealmJoin. And we fully outphased the classic RealmJoin portal and the backend. So can you explain what that meant for the customers?
I think for the customers, it's basically the portal itself where they have seen the change. So the old portal had an old UI, it did not look up to date, and the vNext portal is built from scratch. It has a new UI, but most of the things for sure are done in the background. So we moved, for example, fully to graph. So we don't cache all the groups, don't have a sync there, what we had in the past for a lot of things. Now it's full graph driven. And the cool thing is with that approach, we can integrate all Intune, Entra stuff, Defender stuff. So we have one dashboard for devices, for example, where you see all data combined in one view. And that's possible via direct graph calls in the end.
Yeah, one of our colleagues, who's also Microsoft MVP, he said something like, patch management is done, basically. From a point of view, from a technology point of view, of course there are also quite a lot nice features we have, like the automation that makes your life easier, but the whole topic of patch management is something that people understand very well. Now, as you said, there is so much more when it comes to data, and as you said, RealmJoin using the Graph API to get all the live data, plus perhaps data from our own agent, allows to really understand what is happening in your tenant, also in terms of applications. Again, like perhaps we have time to touch on reporting, to understand what applications are in your available in your tenant, how they are used, and what people really need to work. I mean, in the end, everything we do is done that once or every one single user is able to work. But of course, we look mostly on the strategy, how to enable them. You mentioned Graph API. So Graph API is this Microsoft API that allows us to speak to Azure, basically to the Azure tenant, to Entra, to Intune. Now in RealmJoin, I remember from the old days, you talked about sync cycles. We needed to wait for testing to happen because you need to wait for the object to be transferred to our database and to be managed. Now, in your daily work, what does it mean that you now have the ability to create an object or configure an object in Intune, perhaps via RealmJoin, and then manage it directly? Does it feel differently? I guess so, right?
Yeah, for sure. So I remember in the past where you, for example, put in a user in a group to get an app, no matter if you deploy the app via Intune or agent, but you always had to wait sometimes. So it was 15 minutes maybe at a maximum, but now it's quite real time. I put in the user in the group, and when we use our agent, we come back to that later, I think a little bit more, you press sync on the device and the installation directly starts. So we are here within seconds where the application is assigned to when it's installed. And to be honest, from Microsoft portals, you know always a little bit the cloud delay. So there you are known to wait 5 to 10 minutes till something is deployed. With RealmJoin and our agent, for example, that's quite fast, and I think that's what customers love with RealmJoin. You deploy and it's directly happening on the client, basically.
And also from my personal point of view, when I was able to when I was doing packaging and I was able to instantly test the application installation via the same means that the customer will use, which in this case was the RealmJoin agent, that's just so much more efficient to work with that. We will go to packages later, but you talked about the parity to Intune. One reason why you are here is not only because you're a champion, you are also very familiar with customers who use RealmJoin or the RealmJoin portal, but without the agent.
Yeah, that's also possible. So, as said, we always try to be a companion to Intune and not a replacement. I think that's one of the most important goals we have with RealmJoin. So Intune also can deploy software in the meantime. I think 10 years before when we started, there was just MSI deployment.
That was it, yes.
So there we needed to fill this gap, but in the meantime with Intune Win, for example, or on macOS side, PKGs and DMGs, Intune also can do software patching now, and it's getting better and better, and that's why we always had to approach, if Intune also can do it, we try to adapt this also to the product. That's why for packages, for example, you can now decide deploy it via the agent. Still customers are doing that to do it sometimes a little bit faster, but we can also just do it via Intune. So we basically copy over our package as Intune Win, and then it's there, and then you can use the native Intune functions to deploy it. So you as customer decide which way you want to go in the end.
Yeah, our CEO said that, I think years ago, that if the Microsoft environment does something to the degree we and the customers need, we will move in this direction. We are not competitors, but in this picture you painted, there's quite still some holes in the bridge, and we need to fill them.
And we don't want to have a vendor lock. Often when we present RealmJoin to customers, they say, oh, if I use this agent, I will have a vendor lock to you. That's not the case anymore. With Intune Win, you can just switch to Intune, deploy the software there, and if you throw away our packages, okay, then you have to patch it with another solution, but it's not locked to the agent anymore, what was the case in the past. And
yeah, exactly. So everything you see in the RealmJoin application store, you can subscribe via Intune or via RealmJoin agent. And I think that's always a fair comparison, because you talked about the parity with Intune. We have different features also, like labs, the administrative local administrative password solution, which can be, Intune also now offers something, and it can be used via the RealmJoin portal. You can configure it, but you can also decide to use the RealmJoin Labs version using the agent. And from what I understand with our customers, most of them still prefer the RealmJoin version because you have more options, you can use it differently. But if you wanted to, there's nothing vendor locking in you from using the native solution, right? And the same with, perhaps you can give us just a rough idea what runbooks and remediation scripts in RealmJoin do, because I think that's also quite interesting, is independent from using the RealmJoin agent or using a completely Intune based approach, right?
Yeah, so maybe just coming back to labs first. So I think it's quite interesting in this topic. So labs was not there at all I think it's now 3 or 4 years ago when Intune or Entra invented that as feature. And we already built that because customers need it in the past. You cannot elevate every normal user as admin to do your daily business. And we directly implemented multiple labs account solutions, like the support account that is created on demand. That's a cool feature. You can argue to use a simple password for this account because it is just created when you need it. Or we was also a customer idea, the privileged account. It's basically an account where just the password is rotated, and then you can attach your hello fingerprint to it. So I'm having here my admin finger, and if I have a UAC prompt, I'm using the left finger, and then I can elevate myself as admin. So I don't have a local admin all the time with my primary user. So those features are still there, but if you use Intune Labs, this account will just show up in the RealmJoin portal.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, we can also do self-service labs with that, for example. So we enhance the Intune feature in addition if wanted. Yeah.
Yeah, this is also great that you said the self-service part, because with glueckkanja we have this philosophy which is called eat your own dog food.
Yeah.
So this is what we do at this company. We don't have local admins, even we have a lot of technical staff working here, but everyone is able to use the RealmJoin Lab solution to get themselves the privileges if they are needed for developer installations or doing whatever needs to be done. And it's audited, it's controlled, you understand what's happening. And perhaps just to make clear, I mean, that's all of course in the documentation, but we don't store any passwords or stuff like that. It's all in the customer's key vault. RealmJoin is the broker basically, but it allows me as a normal user without any privileges against Intune, against the key vault, or against the operation system to get an ADM password and user to do the one task I need to do, or to be able for the rest of the day to do all those tasks, and then everything will be safe again. The administrative user will be removed by the agent, and you can start working basically as a normal user again.
Yeah, and I think developers are the best example.
Yeah.
So you will always have, if you're a bigger company, some developers that need the local admin. You can't argument against that's fully okay. But with labs, it's not that high security risk anymore. Yeah.
Okay. Perhaps just few short sentences to the automation side of things, which is Runbooks and remediation scripts. We all know remediation scripts. I still call them pre-active remediation scripts, like in the old times. They were renamed. I think that's something Microsoft does quite a lot, changing names of things, so nobody gets tired of learning words. Remediation scripts for me always were a bit of a hassle when it came to Intune, because, for example, it was very hard to extract a remediation script that was uploaded to a tenant. You cannot download it.
That was the normal script. The remediation script is possible in the UI, but the normal script, that was quite funny. In some tenants you could see them, in some tenants not. I never understood why there was a difference, maybe due to the localization of the tenant, but yeah, they were uploaded, you cannot see them anymore, and
you can see, I have the experience that sometimes you could see the name, and the name was like version 3, then you have the author name in and then trying to do whatever, so no naming scheme really, and it was really not easy to understand what is happening there. And now with RealmJoin, when you use the RealmJoin remediation scripts, for example, you see what is happening there, you see the source, you can execute them, and you can schedule them. I think that's also quite interesting to schedule them, or scope them to individual devices and trigger them, right? So this is probably something that's a lot of done in first and probably also third level support.
Yeah, I think the remediation scripts, I think every customer of Intune is using them. But since we have a lot of customers, we developed a lot of scripts, and as I said in the beginning, our goal is to use it for every customer. That's why we have the remediation scripts there. They are basically published on GitHub. Everyone can see them, and the cool thing is with RealmJoin, you basically get like an app store for this remediation scripts, so every customer can subscribe them, because 80% of the scripts I think every customer would need to develop on their own, and they can just subscribe it from there. They are copied over to Intune, and then you can just use them. So
there are, I think that's also quite important on a technical point of view, they are copied to the Intune tenant, so the customer has control over it. And is the customer also able to use their own remediation scripts?
For sure. In the end, you can just upload them to Intune directly and use ours in addition. But we are always happy if you contribute to GitHub. It's a public GitHub repo, so you can just place your remediation script as an idea. We will for sure check it before publishing it. But we are always happy if there are ideas, or if you already developed some of them, just add them there and a lot of customers might be happy to not have them developed on their own.
So there's also this community open source
Yeah.
approach on that part. And I think
Yeah.
that's all nice. It's not like we are billing people for the remediation scripts. It's just
No.
something we
Yeah.
added that's there, that's maintained to a
Yeah.
specific degree, or a certain degree. And it's not so different when it comes to the handling with Runbooks too, right? We have this
Same
library of
approach.
Runbooks.
Yeah.
Runbooks, for those who don't know, are scripts that use an Azure automation account. And we have a lot in the meantime. I don't know. Do we have 100 already, or is it
It's
somewhere?
more.
It's
more,
even
I
more
think,
than
yeah.
100.
And the cool thing is in our docs, it's quite new. We also have them all documented now, automated, pulled from GitHub to our docs with explanation what it is doing, which requirements it has, like permissions, for example. Yeah, but it's a lot. And it's here the same thing. Customers needed it. We developed those scripts. They are public available on GitHub, so everyone can contribute and use them. Yeah.
I think what makes the Runbooks really, really proficient and really, really good is that, of course, they are automated and can be triggered by the RealmJoin portal.
Yeah.
But there's also in the RealmJoin portal the option to set permissions, not the permissions that Runbook needs or the automation account needs, but who is able to run the Runbooks. So you can, for example, use all your Runbooks that are basically first level tasks and allow the basic supporter group to use the RealmJoin portal to use all these Runbooks, which do things you normally would need to log into Intune, have an Intune admin account for, or at least some kind of RBAC configured user. And with the RealmJoin portal, with the Runbooks, you only have this automation account and you control the access to the individual Runbooks using the RealmJoin portal. So you can allow all your support stuff to do only specific Runbooks and your high-level support stuff to do also the critic ones. And I think perhaps you can give us some examples. There are so many standard tasks that are done faster with Runbooks.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing, but the other thing is also the permission stuff. To mention that again, in the past, I think a lot of first level supporters had Intune admin, Exchange admin, some roles in Entra to reset MFA. You can get rid of them. They don't need any permission anymore because they get the runbooks via RBAC. You can define, hey, this group of admins is getting those 10 runbooks that can run on user level or device level, etc. And then they can do things faster and in a more controlled way too. So good example is, I think, delete a device. So what in the past I had to delete it in Entra, in Intune, maybe in Autopilot if it's a Windows device, and you know it. If there is a process defined and the person is reading it, they might think about all those steps, but in the end they might forget something. And with the runbook, all those steps are inside the runbook. A runbook is in the end just a PowerShell script. Don't know if we have mentioned that, but it's already doing all those things. So the first level support cannot do that different. It's all scoped via the runbook. And I'm always saying RealmJoin is basically adding to that automation account of Azure and UI. So the script itself, it's PowerShell. It's no magic. You see it on GitHub. For sure, sometimes it's a little bit magic, the complexer it is. But in the end, it's basically giving you a good UI with selections, predefined options, false true switchers. So it's giving you easy access to execute those PowerShell scripts in the end.
Yeah, I think that's just a lot of reduction of redundant work, basically. And you can use the time for more exciting and important things. As you said, everything here is synced to Intune, so we are back to the Graph API that is used in the automation account. And the Graph API we can use also for other automation tasks, like the completely automated lifecycle when it comes to applications and packages. So what's new with the new RealmJoin portal is the construct we call managed subscriptions. What happens here is that RealmJoin creates all groups related to a specific application. And
Yeah, it's a required group always, an available group, uninstall group, and maybe an update group. Yeah.
Preview group.
And preview group.
Do not forget the preview group.
Yeah,
it's important. And I think the nice thing here is we also have two additional features. One is the application owner notification, and we have the automation. And both work at the same time for if there's a new version of this package deployed in the RealmJoin store. You don't have to manually subscribe to the new version. You can configure RealmJoin to automatically update the preview group first, and then update the productive and available groups with the new version of this application package.
And that's great for the daily software like 7-zip browsers,
probably
Teams,
70 to 80%,
Adobe Reader.
I would say.
Yeah.
And we proactively, we have 2,500 application packages at the moment. It will be more shortly because there's a lot of macOS incoming. We'll get to that just in a second. But over a third of all the packages are maintained packages, so we check every day automated for updates and update them. So if you use this automation for the lifecycle, you can basically, and I've seen this with a lot of customers, for, as you said, the standard applications, you need to configure them basically once.
Yeah.
And then with the automation, and you get an email notification, the application owner, if there's a new preview, if there's a new productive update. So they're aware of what is happening, but they don't have to do anything about it if they don't want to. Yeah. So basically for the standard software, you can build like this, it's really life cycle because it's really round and you don't have to do anything anymore.
It's, for example, Adobe Reader. I think from my feeling, it's getting an update every week. You just add it once as managed package, as we said. So there's always a selection, managed or basic. When you subscribe package, we always suggest managed to have that feature.
And both versions are always available, also available for RealmJoin deployment and Intune deployment. So you basically, if you go to the RealmJoin store, the first time you will see, if everything is activated, you see 4 buttons to subscribe to a package. Yeah. If you want it managed or basic, and which mechanism to deliver it, basically.
Yeah. And if it's subscribed, you then define it's how you want it, how many days you want to wait till you push it to your preview group first, and how many days you will afterwards wait to push it to the main group. And from Intune perspective, it's the same as Windows updates rings. So you roll out the Adobe Reader to your preview group first, IT admins, some users that are interested, and if nothing breaks there, you normally just let it run through, same as Windows updates. And that approach is working for Windows updates now since years, since we are doing that stuff. And why not using it for packages? And
absolutely.
I think it does work too. So
absolutely. I mean, IT rule number, I don't know, perhaps not 1, but the top 3 is if you do something over and over again, try to automate it.
Yeah.
And why should you just waste your time with that? And perhaps just as a small amendment there, I said this RealmJoin is creating these groups because when RealmJoin creates the groups, it knows which group has which priority. You can, if there's like a double assignment by accident, RealmJoin still has a deterministic way to resolve it. But if you have your own groups and you don't want this RealmJoin groups, you don't want to use this RealmJoin groups, you can do nesting and dynamic groups and bulk operations to copy.
It's just intra groups in the end.
So exactly, you can use them as you want. So just wanted to make that clear. Packaging, you already talked about that. I think that's also quite interesting. We have 2,500 application packages ready, but that's not all.
Yeah.
So what stands out with RealmJoin is that all our customers can request packages, and we don't have a user voice where you need all of the community to get on your side to create this package. But instead, we have a packaging factory, and they will do the package for you. And if it's a package we can put in the generic store, it will be even perhaps an automated updated package. It will be there within a week.
Basically, depending if the sources are public available, then we normally add them just as maintained. So we automatically update them. That's a cool thing here.
Yeah, and we have this 2,500 number we just talked about. Is just the generic packages we basically provide for every single customer. But we have customer-specific packages.
Private ones.
Private packages,
Yeah.
right? That's the correct word there. And if you count all them, we have over 10,000 different application packages in RealmJoin, basically. But these private packages are only available for one specific tenant each. Maybe two if there's like a daughter tenant there, but that's more of a technical question.
Yeah.
But you have your private packages, nobody knows about that you use them. We configure them for you. You can update them with us if required. So if you go through the library of what is available in the generic store and you're missing something, there's a really high chance, and we talked about that before the recording, it's probably over 99% this chance that we will, with just a couple of days, be able to add this either to the generic or to the private store, so you can use the software using the same mechanism for reporting, for managing, like with all of the other applications.
And in the past, I often had the question at customers, how many clients or users are needed to do a package?
One.
Yeah. I always say, hey, if it's one user, but we can package that, it's normally always possible if it's installable silently in the end, but that's a common thing. It's okay to do it for one user, then you have it in your inventory, you have it managed, you have it updated. If you install it via local admin manually, it's on a device and you will forget it. It's never patched again, etc. So that's why you can always request it. Yeah.
And we have perhaps just 20 seconds organic packages, which are just a zip container that moves the binaries to your device, and then you need your local labs RealmJoin labs admin to install it.
I think a good example here is a printer driver.
Yeah,
for a barcode scanner, for example, that says during the installation you have to insert a USB cable. That's something that is difficult to do as normal package silently. That's a good thing. But the cool thing is you then have it visible somehow. You have it in the portal, you have it assigned, so you see where this application or this driver is installed.
I think it's even, there's one more advantage, or two. The first thing is it's free of charge automated process. So if you know this is an organic package, you can just upload it yourself. You don't need to get in touch with anybody, and it will be available for you in your tenant. Yeah. And I think, you know where it is, but also if you have like, let's go to like the CEO or C-level devices where perhaps there's some specific software for finances that's not packaged because you need for, I don't know, the Romanian customs, you need a version that's using Java 6 and it's really hard to use. And then this device of this CEO needs to be reset. Since you have this as an organic package in RealmJoin, you know exactly what was on the device. If you do it by hand, by your USB stick, this knowledge is lost in the worst case.
And where are the binaries?
Where the binaries, what was exactly installed on this device? Perhaps I have an old software report. So is there any matching? So I think that's also quite useful with these organic packages. It's still just like 5% perhaps. Yep. Ideally even less, but in this cases we can have really nice tool there. I talked about the number, 2,500 now a couple of times, so everybody has this in their mind, but it will increase soon because of this 2,500. Around 300 packages are macOS packages, and we will get quite a few more in the foreseeable future. And I think that's quite interesting because that makes Mac and macOS not longer second-class citizens as they are called. And I think this is something that also reflects how Microsoft approaches Mac devices within the last, let's say, 18 months or 12 months. So do you have any experience with macOS devices, Intune and RealmJoin?
Yeah, so macOS device itself, I think at nearly every customers they are there. Sometimes it's one device, from the VIPs often, it's often the case, but sometimes it's even more. We also have customers where our multiple hundred Macs are in the meantime in Intune. And in the past, I think a common thing was to exclude macOS and conditional access because they were not managed. Someone wanted to have them, marketing for example, but they said, we can't really manage them, we have no knowledge, etc. But this changed now, I think. Intune really got better in that environment. So adding the Macs to Intune also with our managed Intune service is in the end quite easy. And one of the biggest thing was in the past the software packages, where Intune, it couldn't do that much in that area, but that also changed now. Yeah, and that's, I think, the reason why we also wanted to fill the gap with RealmJoin there too. Yeah.
So, but the difference, of course, to Windows is that when it comes to RealmJoin macOS, we are agentless. So we don't have an agent at the moment. We rely on what Intune is offering.
Yeah.
But we, as it is our way, we enhance it with the RealmJoin portal. As I said, we have 300 macOS packages. So it will be a lot more soon. So this allows you basically to have the same processes, the same security approaches to all of your macOS devices too. And of course, from my understanding is that macOS were considered more secure in the past. Also perhaps because they were rarer than, or that you see less of them. So
I think that's the thing. I've had a report where it said there are also a lot of vulnerabilities, but since it's not that spread, it's not that important for attackers to be attacked.
So it's of course important now, or it's getting more important every day, that also keep your macOS applications up to date, that you
local
use
admin management.
Exactly. So not having everybody being a local admin if they are not required. So I think with the Intune implementation of labs for macOS and the RealmJoin portal making you able to use it, we are back to this operator dashboard, which allows you to manage macOS in the same way we do Windows, or nearly in the same way.
Yeah, and I think labs, that was one of the most awaited features in Intune.
I would guess so, yes.
Yeah, it shipped in the meantime, not that long. And what we've already done, we've integrated into the portal. So when there is a labs account added via Intune, you will see it in the RealmJoin portal. And a very cool thing that's now also there, since I think it's just for some weeks now in RealmJoin, you can also do that now for self-service. So you can define a group of users with macOS devices that are able to get the labs account of Intune for macOS via the RealmJoin portal themselves. So that's also there now.
Yeah, as you said, it's not so long ago that we implemented. And I think this is what we wanted to show you today, that in the last year there were a lot of changes. And our goal is it to still improve and add features over time. I think I don't want to spoiler here, but we have quite a long list of development issues or tickets where we discuss the new features.
Ideas are endless.
Ideas are endless. Resources are not, but we do our best that within the next 3 to 6 months there will be some more changes and updates.
Maybe coming back to the packages quickly. So what's the difference on macOS? Some customers ask why you don't have an agent with deployment options. It's different here now. Intune now has the option to deploy DMGs and PKGs. That's a common way you do it on macOS. That's why we never said, hey, we need to have an agent that is deploying software. It's there with Intune. From my feeling, it's working for most of the things. For sure, there might be some special packages where it becomes difficult. But for 80 to 90%, it's working good. And it's better than do no patching at all.
Absolutely.
That was a common thing in the past with macOS. For sure, there are also things like Jam, for example, where you can maybe do more as with Intune. But patching on macOS was always something that was not done that often. And now with Intune and RealmJoin, it's quite easy to do it now. Also, if you only have 10 Macs, or for example. So you can
but
just
still,
add
why should you treat them differently than all your other devices? Especially in terms of security, and that's what it is in the end, right? You want to reduce your security risk, and you want to increase your processes in that way that you can work in a very good flow. Yes, for today, Steffen, thank you for being here and discussing all these important things, and giving us some ideas what you have seen in the field. And to everyone watching, in the next, probably somewhere around the summer, we will have the next episode of this podcast ready, because, as I said, there's a lot of things in the pipeline. We want to give you an insight to give your best practice tips. And there will be a lot of changes. I think that might be interesting. I
Yeah.
think one of the most important things, just to give you a small tease, is how the user is able to install applications for themselves.
Via our agent.
Via our agent. Self-service is a big thing. If you require more information about RealmJoin, perhaps you want to have some specific questions, you can always reach out at support@realmjoin.com.
Yeah. And maybe very important is the feedback portal. It's
portal.
feedback.realmjoin.com. There you can subscribe via your email address, and then you will get automatically the change logs when we release a new agent version or new portal version. I think that's the most important thing to get known when there are new issues.
Yeah, everybody who uses RealmJoin should be subscribed as lead as a manager to this portal. So you don't have to wait for the next podcast episode to get all the changes presented. Of course, we will discuss them. And we are happy if you want to, you can book a session with me or one of my colleagues to get 20 minutes just off if you have any questions regarding RealmJoin and using it, so that you can really appreciate and use all the features and improve your daily work with the RealmJoin system. Thank you. Thank you, Steffen, again.
Yeah.
And goodbye.
Goodbye.